Hey, welcome to another episode of Changing the Face of Wellness podcast. I am your host, Rachel Harper. Listen, today we are getting into an important topic. So again, as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you get a pen and paper because we're going to jump right into it right now. Today we are talking about boundaries. This is a very important topic because as the name of this podcast is, it's called Changing the Face of Wellness. Oftentimes what we do is when it comes to our wellness, we make the huge mistake of believing that wellness only has to do with the things that we're eating. It only has to do with how we want our bodies to look. But I want you to start changing how you see wellness, how you see your well-being. It is a place of healing. It is a place of growth. It is a place of resetting. It is an opportunity to heal, to grow, and to reset. It is not just about the things that you're eating. It's not just about trying to get arms like Michelle Obama. It is about really looking at yourself in the wholeness of who you are. God said, when I created you fearfully and wonderfully made. And so it is for you to say, you know what, if God took the time to create me in the way that he was going to, make sure that I thrive in his purpose, that I thrive in my calling, then it is for me to see myself as a vessel where I communicate, where I see myself as needing to protect the vessel that he has created. And so don't see yourself or don't see your wellness or your well-being as just being an opportunity that is to show up in the gym. It is to show up in the kitchen. That is not a full picture of what wellness is. Okay. That is an incomplete picture. And so what you're going to see a lot of other people talking about is just the foods that you eat, the exercises that you should do. And wow, that is my experience as well, right? That is my expertise. And I give you those things as well. But I want you to have that expansive conversation with yourself when it comes to building your whole entire self, holistically, your full well-being. So that's going to include not just your body, but that's also going to include your mind. That's going to include your spirit. So that's why it is important today for us to have a conversation about boundaries. Boundaries is also a place of your well-being. It is a place for your healing. It is a place where you can grow. It is a place where you can get better. Westmore said, don't make people who don't matter too much matter too much. Don't make people who don't matter too much matter too much. So when it comes to boundaries, understand that this is an opportunity for you to connect with yourself, to get honest with your needs, and to say, I'm going to implement everything that I desire to have for my life in a place of safety, in a place of well-being, and in a place of respect. We often look for other people to show us respect. We often look for other people to show us safety. But to be honest with you, a lot of other people don't know what you need. Other people don't know what you desire. Other people don't know what makes you feel safe. Other people don't know off top what makes you feel respected. Now, if we're going to have a basic conversation, we know, when it comes to respect, obviously, no fighting and putting their hands on you and all those things like that. But even in a sense, we don't always see that happening. People may know the difference between right and wrong. They don't always take the opportunity to perform in the right. They don't always take the opportunity to discover or determine what it is that you need so that you feel respected, so that you feel safe. And so if other people are not going to take the time to see what makes you feel safe and what makes you feel respected and to determine what you need for your life, physically, spiritually, emotionally, to feel emotionally safe, physically safe, spiritually safe and respected, then it is for you to communicate that. Now, we often have trouble communicating our boundaries. Let's be honest. Oftentimes, it can be hard communicating those boundaries because we were to make sure that we weren't being difficult, especially as women, right? We don't want to be difficult. We don't want to be, too much. We don't want to be seen as nagging, right? Society has made the words like nagging to become something that we're trying not to do. So anytime we decide that we want something, if we are to open our mouths and communicate it, then guess what? We don't want to be seen as nagging. Hey, I'm so excited that you are considering joining me inside of this 2-day live virtual intensive. First of all, make sure that you bring your friends. So as far as this 2-day intensive, what all are you going to learn? Understand that to whom much is given, much is going to be required. That means as you show up in the courtroom, in the boardroom, in the classroom, any room that you're going to walk into, in your calling, in your purpose, much is going to be required of you. And one of the things you want to make sure that you're not doing is pouring from a place of emptiness. You want to always be pouring from your overflow. So I want to teach you how to do just that. People are often saying, hey, don't pour from an empty cup, but they don't often tell you how to actually fill your cup so that you pour from your overflow. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that over the course of these next 2 days. So here's what you're going to learn in order to start filling up your cup. Number one, you're going to learn how to communicate your emotions. So you're going to learn how to start communicating your emotions so that you stop bottling up the things that you're feeling. Oftentimes we take our emotions and we judge our emotions. So stop judging your emotions and start using your emotions as a healthy guide for your decision making. Number two, you're going to learn how to create healthy boundaries. As you are learning how to create healthy boundaries, this gives you the opportunity to restore your peace, to sit in a place of peace. And then if you want to join me for the bonus session number 3, I want to invite you to learn how to connect with your peace by using your mind and your body. Very simple. All right. So if you are ready, I want you to go ahead and press that button below, because to whom much is given, much is required. And guess what? Much is required of you because you have given God a yes. You are walking in your calling. And so that means that it's time for you to learn how to start walking in your peace, to learn how to start healing, growing, and resetting your mind, your body, and your spirit so that you can stop pouring from your empty cup and learn how to pour from your overflow. So go ahead and bring a friend, hit that button below, register, save your seat, and I'll see you in class. We don't want to be seen as a trouble starter. We don't want to be seen as starting trouble. And so oftentimes we will just sit in a place of feeling disrespected, of feeling unwanted, of feeling unsafe, so that the other person can receive what it is that they need. But that is a huge distraction from your needs. So I worked in a classroom for about 6 years as an educator. And when I worked as an educator, it was one of the hardest jobs I've ever had. And I've been working since I was 16. It wasn't physically draining, but it was emotionally draining and it was mentally draining. There were certain days that I would literally get off work and not even want to make a decision about what I was going to feed my kids. Like it was just like I'm making decision all days. What's going to be the next lesson? What's going to be the best lesson plan? How can I improve on these kids and what they're learning and their quizzes? And how can I perform better? How can I do better? How can I look better? How can I be received better? How can I, have better communication with the parents? And so there is always this place of trying to increase, get better, to perform. Right? And so that's the problem. I was always showing up and performing. So nowhere in that did you hear me saying, well, what's best for me? What's the best way for me to communicate? What's the best way for me to teach? What's the best way for me to not be exhausted? Like I didn't do that. It was, what do they need? What does the school system need? What does this school need? What do the kids need? What do the parents need? What do the administrators need? What does the principal need? And so I was always feeling like this pull. Right? Have you ever felt that way? Always feeling like the world is pulling from you, whether now you are sitting in a place of being a parent, being a caretaker, being a teacher, a business owner, a lawyer, being a friend, whatever the case may be, you might always feel like you're pouring. You're always pouring. And one thing about women is we're going to pour. We're going to show up and we are going to pour. That's what we're going to do. It's almost like God created us to be pourers. Like we have this cup that we're always pouring and giving. We're always giving to other people. We're helping other people to feel safe. We're helping other people to feel comfortable. We're helping other people to feel respected. But while we are building up other people, we are often neglecting ourselves in the process. Unfortunately, we're neglecting ourselves in the process. We're neglecting our own needs. We're neglecting our own safety. We're neglecting our own respect because we're busy pouring into other people. Now, here's the thing about boundaries. Again, a boundary is a sign of mutual respect. It is a two-way street. It is for you to understand what someone else needs and for someone else to understand what you need. And that's how relationships work. Both people have to say, I understand your boundaries. I understand why you say no. I understand why you say I can't call you out of your name. I understand why I shouldn't be pushing on you. I understand why I shouldn't be rolling my eyes. I understand, I understand. I get it. I understand. Right? So when I worked as a teacher, I was in the classroom one day, and all of a sudden the room felt like it was spinning, and my heart started racing super fast, and I couldn't get it to slow down. And so because I was in the classroom by myself, I said, let me go down to the nurse office to see what's going on. Let me go and see what's going on. So I get in there. Luckily, there were no students in there, and I sit down on a little blue bed, and she passes me a cup of water, and then she takes my blood pressure, and she says, oh my gosh, do you want me to call the ambulance? Your blood pressure is high. And I said, no, oh my gosh, call my husband, right? So immediately I was like, okay, I'm out of here. But what I was doing for at least 4 years out of the 6, I was pouring. I was pouring all of me into my whole entire career. I was a part of hustle culture. I didn't create boundaries when it came to my job. I was always taking my laptop home. I was working beyond 2:05. I was doing all the things that I wasn't supposed to be doing. Right. And so it was easy for me to be manipulated. It was easy for me to not get the benefit of my well-being because I was always pouring. And so, again, when you're always pouring, it affects your well-being. Boundaries is not a wall. It's not a wall. It's just, think about a home, right? You have a home and it says like, this is my property line. It is a property line for you to say, this is what's allowed. These are my parameters. Now, here's the thing. I want you to understand that when it comes to your boundaries, you have to, number one, get clear about what you need. And in order to get clear with what you need, you have to be able to sit with yourself to determine what you need. And when you never sit with yourself to determine what you need, you will never be able to communicate the boundary. So take time to understand what it is that I need emotionally, physically, spiritually, that will make me feel safe, that will make me feel respected, that will help me to thrive, that will help me to heal, to grow, to reset, right? To overall, holistically, it is holistic. Boundaries are holistic. Number 2, define your boundary clearly and explain why you need them. So when it comes to relationships, being able to open your mouth and say, this is what I need. When it came to my marriage, I'm going to say about the first 2 years, it was hectic because I didn't know how to express my boundaries, because I didn't know how to express my feelings. And so the first thing that I did is I would just get angry. I would get mad. I would fly off the handle. But it got to a point where it was like, okay, this is very draining. Holding in my emotions, getting angry every time somebody else steps on my boundary. I had to learn how to communicate. And so again, it's not just about that emotional intelligence of being able to identify your emotions. It's also about that relational intelligence and understand how to have a proper relationship. So that's number 2. But then last, communicate your boundary. So not only do you need to get clear about your boundary, define your boundary clearly, but you got to be able to communicate it. Like I said, okay, being able to communicate your boundary will allow your relationships to thrive, your businesses to thrive. So getting clear about what you need, sitting with yourself and learning what you've accepted in your past, right, is a way to learn what have I done in my past that did not serve me, so that as I move into new relationships, new places, into new jobs, careers, that I don't take that same mistake with me. Right? You don't want to take that same mistake with you. Everything is supposed to be about learning. You're supposed to have a lesson learned from the things you've done in the past and the things that didn't work. And if one of the things that got you exhausted is the fact that, and burnt out is the fact that you didn't create boundaries, then look back at what you've done so that you don't repeat what you did. So defining your boundary clearly, explain why you need them, communicate your boundary. All right. So one of the things we often do, we make the mistake of holding other people accountable for how they made us feel. We often hold other people accountable for how they made us feel isolated, upset, mad, sad. I did a post the other day and I said, wherever I am, there peace shall be. What does that mean? That means no matter where I am, I'm going to know myself enough. I'm going to sit with myself enough. I'm going to know what I need, so much so that no matter where I go, I know I can pull from my peace. So even if you're acting up, I know I can pull from my peace. Even if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, I can pull from my peace. But not only can I pull from my peace, I know what's required of me to have my peace. So the last 2 years when I was in the classroom, one of the things I stopped doing was taking my laptop home. I stopped taking my laptop home. I drastically reduced how much work I gave my students. I got more efficient with my time. I started planning out my year the first week of school, right? And so some people might call that quiet quitting. It's not quiet quitting. I quietly created boundaries for myself so that way I wasn't burned out, overwhelmed, and always getting pulled and always pouring without pouring back into myself. So I got off work right when the bell rung. I didn't take my laptop home anymore, right? I didn't have to do all those things. I was able to have my meetings early in the morning so that my meetings didn't last in the afternoon because I wanted to get off work, spend time with my kids, spend time with my husband, and spend time with myself. Spend time out in nature, exercising, having fun, all the things. And so I wanted to be able to create that boundary of well-being for myself. And so you have to ask yourself, what is it that I desire for my boundaries? Why am I setting a boundary? What boundary do I need? Am I setting a boundary so I can get respect? Am I setting a boundary for my safety? Right? So I needed it for my safety of health, because I didn't want to be sitting in a classroom anymore with the room spinning and my blood pressure high and not being able to get my heart rate down because I'm giving into hustle culture and always pouring. So if that sounds like you're always pouring, I want you to learn how to live without the pressure of performing. Oftentimes when we don't have boundaries, we show up and we perform. And when other people show up and perform and they make us feel some type of way, when you don't have boundaries, you will always feel like somebody else can define your boundaries for you. You feel like somebody else can define what you need. It's easy for you to be manipulated. It's easy for you to be used. And so you don't want to be sitting in that place because you want to be able to thrive emotionally, thrive relationally, thrive physically, spiritually. It is holistic. So change the face of how you see your wellness. It's not just about the things that you're eating. It's not just about going to a gym. It's also about doing things like setting boundaries so that your well-being is intact, so that your safety is intact, so that respect is intact. And when your respect and your safety is intact, you'll feel better emotionally. Your relationships will thrive. You'll feel better spiritually and mentally. All those things matter, okay? So boundaries will save your life, and boundaries will also save your sanity. Your well-being is so much more than what? It's so much more than the food that you eat, and it's so much more than the physical exercise that you do. It also has everything to do with your mind as well as your spirit. So go out into this week, start sitting with yourself and asking yourself, what do I need to heal? What do I need emotionally, spiritually, mentally, so that I can thrive, not just emotionally, but also in my relationships? You can thrive in your career, because when you do boundaries better, your life and your sanity will also be better as well. Trust me. I will see you in the next episode.